Hello, guys. It's Chris Vetrano. You're listening to The Gist, and we're going to get right into it because there is a lot happening in the Bravo universe this week or the weekend. If you're anything like me, you've been glued to your phone refreshing because every time you do, there's more information coming out about, of course, I'm talking about the big breakup that we got wind of on Friday afternoon. Tom Sandoval and Ariana from Vanderpump Rules were calling it quits. But the reason for the breakup is the big shocker. Okay, so we're going to just kind of like to take a step back, introduce you to this character, which is now known as Rachel, but we knew her as Raquel. So Raquel joined Vanderpump Rules several years ago as James Kennedy's girlfriend. Of course, we know her well as the Bambi-eyed bitch, and she wasn't the brightest bulb. She was a bit of a wild, character that she never really fit in with the crew because she was just so sort of spacey and airheaded, but she loved James. They got engaged last season. Then we found out at the reunion that they had called off the engagement. So, I didn't even know if we were going to see Raquel this season, but she got right to work to secure her spot on this season 10 of Vanderpump Rules because over the summer, she had started to be rumored and linked to some of the cast members. So, of course, there was the big rumor that she was seen canoodling with Tom Schwartz at Coachella. And Tom Schwartz, of course, who on the show was married to Katie Maloney, and they were in the midst of a divorce. So there was already some kind of shocking news in that potential rumor. Then we get into the Peter of it all. So Peter, who's the manager of the restaurant where they work, she was linked to him, rumored to be dating him as a rebound of James. Then Garcelle from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, she was then linked and seen making out with her son, Oliver, which we're about to see in next week's episode. But as we then learned, Oliver's married. So that was a real shocker. Then it was back to Tom Schwartz, and the rumors were that they were hot and heavy, and we're starting to see that play out on this season's Vanderpump Rules. In fact, it was a big part of this week's episode. So normally, as you know, we break down all the shows of last week on our Monday episodes, but we're gonna have to just break down all of the stuff happening over the weekend, and then I'll try to cover some of the shows because, yeah, I'm still reeling. I'm still in shock. There's so much going on, and even now, stuff is continuing to come out. We don't really know what is heads and tails of all of this, but it was revealed on Friday that Tom Sandoval, so the other Tom of Tom, was calling it quits with Ariana. And the reason is because he had been having what they are saying is a 6-month affair with Raquel. So that was shocking enough because not only is she now linked to every male cast member on Vanderpump Rules and has had now an affair with a married man and a potentially one that had just gotten divorced, but now she's also breaking up 2 of her closest friends, or what we thought were her closest friends. So this was shocking news. Twitter and Instagram and all of the Bravo accounts were ablaze with information just spewing in. So here's what apparently went down. So on Thursday night, I guess this was Wednesday night, Tom Sandoval's band was playing a show, and Ariana and some of the other cast members were at the show. Well, Sheena and Raquel were in New York filming Watch What Happens Live. They had just been on the Watch What Happens Live episode, and apparently they went out. Well, while at the show, Ariana gets I guess Tom dropped his, and again, this is her boyfriend, so this all seems to add up. He drops his phone. She, as a good girlfriend, picks up the phone so that nobody steps on it, that he doesn't lose it. She's holding on to it. She at some point was going through his phone and saw a FaceTime recording between Tom Sandoval and Raquel, in which Raquel is apparently pleasuring herself in this video, and they're having, some FaceTime sexy time. And so she loses her mind. She calls Sheena, knowing that Sheena is with Raquel, to find out what's going on. Sheena then, and this is, okay, so I have to take a pause because, filming has wrapped. We had the season 10 was in the can. So we weren't going to potentially see any of this. This is something that we won't see play out because unfortunately cameras weren't rolling in New York. But apparently the rumor is that Sheena is talking to her once best friend Ariana about what's going on. Sheena asks Raquel what happened, took Raquel's phone, smashed it up against, threw it up against a brick wall, smashed her phone to pieces, and punched her in the eye. She has a black eye and scratches from this altercation that Sheena got into with her in the streets of New York or in a bar or whatever they were doing at the time. So Ariana leaves the show. Then, of course, the news didn't actually come out until Friday because I think obviously production needed to figure out what in the hell was going to go on. So cameras got back up. They're starting to film again so that we can see this play out at the end of this season. Thank God, because this is such a twist. And guys, I'm literally shaking because this is so huge. This is just really crazy. And the way in which the way in all the web is weaving here is unbelievable. So we know that happened. So Raquel, Bambi-eyed bitch, now is got a black eye. And we then are seeing on, Friday afternoon and Saturday morning, we're seeing a lot of like paparazzi photos, Tom packing his bags, Ariana going out. Tom sort of seemingly doesn't seem to look very sad, by the way, in any of these photos. He doesn't seem to have any remorse of what he's done. But the rumors are that they not only were having this 6-month affair and hooking up, that they now actually want to be together, and that there was plans that Tom was going to break up with Ariana so that they could be together. And all of this, though, I think the real wild thing here is that all of this is happening while we're watching a season that Raquel is trying to convince us all that she has feelings potentially for Tom Schwartz, Tom Sandoval's best friend. Now the question is, was Tom Schwartz in on this? Was he kind of helping cover up the affair that his best friend was having with this woman? Or is this all like, did they do all of this behind everyone's back? Because the one person we have now seen, a lot of the cast members, especially the women, have come forward, very team Ariana. Everyone's like ready to burn Sandoval's house down. And I mean that metaphorically, but also probably literally. But they are... and so is the world. I mean, everybody is team Ariana. Everywhere you look, there's support for her. She has deleted her Instagram and her Twitter, and she's no longer on socials, which is probably smart for her to just kind of get away from it all. But Tom, of course, hasn't. Raquel hasn't. Raquel didn't even turn off her comments. She was probably living for all of this drama, because really what's coming out is that she is really just a social climber and wanted to just continue to stay on the show. So she was kind of just trying to figure out who she could be with in order to keep her storyline and her spot on the show. And so that's why people thought she was just sort of like hopping around all the different cast members to figure out like what's going to keep her on the show. And, it's not going well for her. So the rumors are, and I have to like pull up some notes because I took notes, because this is, again, the stuff that's coming out is just so wild. And so what we know is that they have been having a full-blown affair since at least the summer. So if you remember, and I said at the top, there was rumors that Tom Schwartz and Raquel were seen at Coachella kissing. So, and actually the report that came in, it was a blind item, and it was a report that Tom and Raquel had been kissing at Coachella. Well, everyone just assumed, because Ariana and Tom Sandoval were such like a tight pair and, kind of this epic couple from the show, that it was Tom Schwartz, because we all knew that he was kind of ending things with his marriage to Katie. Well, I think that we have now confirmed, and even on the show this week, it was kind of wild. I ended up watching Vanderpump Rules late this week because we had, so I was watching the previously, obviously I was like in the midst of all of this drama breaking. And so I watched it, and on the previous episode, when Tom Schwartz is getting interviewed by Sheena for the podcast, she said something to the there's this rumor that you and Raquel were making out at Coachella, and Tom says, I wasn't at Coachella. And the fact that that is even shown is like wild, because producers didn't know that this Sandoval thing was happening. And so it's like they're confirming all of these things for us right in front of our faces. And I mean, my God. Okay. So we now think that like Coachella Tom was Sandoval, and that they were seen at Coachella, and that is what was happening. So then again, Ariana found out at Tom's show this week. His phone fell out of his pocket, went to pick it up, and that's when she found all of the videos. We don't know, if Schwartz knows anything about this. Schwartz is the one person that has not made a comment. He hasn't come out, obviously, Team Ariana or Team Tom. So he's been pretty quiet. So we don't know if he was in on this, or if he's also as equally probably hurt. Like I said, she called Sheena. Sheena gave her a black eye, gave Raquel a black eye. We now know somebody has dug up Raquel's yearbooks, and we've learned that Raquel, her actual name is Rachel, and that she just goes by Raquel because she thinks that that's a better stage name for Vanderpump Rules. And so Bravo production got rushed to start filming, put up cameras. We do know that Tom and Ariana have filmed a scene together at the house. We know that Tom and Raquel are potentially, we know that they were together over the weekend. We don't know if cameras were there, but we have to assume that they were. There was rumors that they both bought each other lightning bolt necklaces. So the Tom logo has a lightning bolt in it, and Ariana was seen wearing a Tom sweatshirt, and there are rumors that there was some kind of connection that they came up with, that to indicate their love for each other, they gave each other lightning bolt necklaces, and whenever they would wear them, it was their way of sort of like communicating their love for one another, which is so gross, because again, this is like a close-knit group of friends that are now, all of this stuff is playing out. And Raquel, even days prior, while they were in New York she was in New York with Sheena, she's on an interview talking about how Ariana is one of her best friends, and this is what she's doing behind Ariana's back. I mean, it's really, really like psychotic behavior. So the lightning bolt necklaces, people are confirming, friends of theirs and stuff are confirming that like this is 100% a thing. There was I think what is being said. So Raquel fired her publicists over the weekend and hired Erica Jane's publicity team to come in. There are rumors that publicity team is going to be pushing a narrative that Raquel is a victim in all of this, and that, she was off the heels of this broken engagement to James, and that Tom Sandoval sort of like swooped in and took advantage of her, and that, she doesn't want to continue. Like she apparently, they're pushing her to end things with Tom Sandoval. So whether or not that happens, I don't know, because, I did see a tweet over the weekend of someone saying, like, we need to emotionally prepare ourselves that Tom and Raquel are going to show up at the reunion holding hands. I'm not ready for that. But it's true. We probably need to, but maybe not. Maybe Raquel is going to, because it seems as though Raquel's more obsessed with fame than she is actually like finding a mate and a partner. And so there's a good chance that she will follow suit and break up with Tom and allow them to create this narrative that she was a victim in all of this. And then the other thing where neither one of them has remorse about anything, but the other piece of this is that, well, and this is the other reason that she's going to claim to be a victim, because now there's another rumor that's come out that someone showed some receipts. I'm not going to give the person a shout out because this person tends to get involved and claim that they have a lot of receipts on Bravo stuff, and it never is quite sure whether or not this person is legit. So take this with a grain of salt, but there was receipts apparently that Tom also was having an affair with another girl named Julia. And so now not only is he having an affair on Ariana or cheating on Ariana with Raquel, he's also potentially cheating on Raquel and Ariana with this girl, Julia. So he's like, I mean, who knew that Jax Taylor was going to come out on top of this and Sandoval was going to actually end up like the most disgusting guy on Vanderpump Rules? So they always were kind of after who's the lead guy. Well, now we can confirm that Sandoval is the worst guy on Vanderpump Rules. So all of that has played out. We don't know what's going to end up happening with the two of their relationship. I'm sure that things are going to still come out. We're still going to learn more. And again, Bravo cameras are back up. They're trying to capture all of this. Katie was supposed to be on Watch What Happens Live on Wednesday after this week's episode airs, but has been booted. And Andy has announced that Lisa Vanderpump is coming on this Wednesday, and she will be sharing, I'm sure, some tidbits as well with us of what's going on in California right now, in LA. And then the other thing that's come out is people are outraged by this, of course. And so people are protesting and banning, and they're, vowing to not go to Schwartz and Sandy's, Tom Schwartz and Tom Sandoval's new restaurant, and probably Tom Tom too. I don't know how Tom Tom has gotten, how Tom Tom is faring in this, but from what I understand, like, people are going on, and this restaurant just opened, as we're seeing play out in this season. They're having a lot of trouble getting it open, and now apparently people are going on and writing horrible reviews about the restaurant, and it's really damaging, and now people aren't going. And so like the wait staff is all starting to drop out because they know that like no one's going to show up to this restaurant. So this is like sending waves to their major personal lives. Like, this business may fold as a result of this, which would be devastating, because as we saw this week, Tom Sandoval's parents invested a ton of money into this restaurant, and so they're going to end up being sort of the ones that are going to be holding the bag at the end. And Tom Sandoval has, for the most part, remained quiet, but he did release a statement over the weekend. Nothing to the effect of an "I'm sorry" to Ariana, this person that I loved for 9 years, this person that I was in a crazy relationship with, and but instead, he, again, showed no remorse towards Ariana or the situation at hand, but instead said, please don't, impact my business. And we still have to take care of our staff, and we still have to take care of my business partners. And so please don't come after my businesses. And that wasn't the look. And I think doesn't play well, doesn't fare well for him. So yeah, this is just breaking news, and I like I said, more information just keeps dropping. And part of me is like wanting to take a break from it all, because I feel like now we're not going to really get the real story, because, Bravo is going to shut down the cast saying too much. Lala was like, I'm about to like put Tom Sandoval and Raquel on blast. We are going to blow up their spot. Kristen Doty showed up back in the conversation. She basically told Raquel that she just needs to move home at this point because her life has ended in LA. So the cast was real upset and like taking to socials that first night that all this news broke, but has since sort of scaled back. And I think it's obviously because Bravo's probably asking them to, hold back so that we can put together the edit and put together this story as part of the season. I think they need to like work real fast, because again, I was watching this last week's episode over the weekend, and it almost makes no sense. It's like very weird to watch it, because we're watching this whole storyline of Raquel trying to convince everyone that she's like potentially really interested in Tom Schwartz, and she asked Tom Schwartz to make out, and she tells Katie that happened, and Katie's crying, and like, this is someone in our friend group, and like, this is my ex-husband that we've been divorced for 5 seconds, and now she's like going after him, and she's like really upset by it, which understandably so. I mean, that was already bad enough. Like, Raquel was not looking good already. But now to think that while this was all going down, were actually having an affair, and that she was potentially like maybe in love with Tom Sandoval this whole time is unbelievable. It's so strange. It's just, and I don't know if I can like continue to watch this storyline play out, because if all of these things are happening, it just makes everything look really artificial again. And this isn't where we want this to go. But again, like, I don't know. I don't think we know if Schwartz is covering up. There was one thing that I noticed is last week, or I guess 2 weeks ago, Schwartz and Sandoval were on Watch What Happens Live, and Andy was asking a lot of Raquel questions to Schwartz, and I felt like he kept looking at Sandoval for the answers. And Sandoval had like a very strange look on his face. If you go back and watch it now, it's like all so clear, but like he seemed really strange. Schwartz was really uncomfortable asking all these questions, getting asked all these questions, and how he was going to answer them. And it does feel as though Schwartz knew, which is why I think people are feeling like he was covering up for him, which makes him a monster, because yeah, sure, maybe he's covering for his best friend, but he's also putting his wife, or his ex-wife, Katie, in this like horrible position. Like, she's so sad, and she's seeing this. And if all of this Raquel and Tom stuff was so like, it was not real, and it was just all to cover up what was going on with Sandoval, that's just horrible for him to do that to Katie. And then I'm also wondering like why, and this, I have not seen this theory or this rumor yet, but like, are we not sure that the two of them, I mean, those two have had some like interesting, like bromosexual moments where I'm like, maybe Raquel was like the middle of that sandwich, that Tom sandwich. And like, maybe that's how all of this came to be. Maybe they were like both, tag teaming on Raquel. And I don't know. I know that people are not going to like that I just said that, but I have not seen that rumor play out. And it's like, maybe that's what's going on. And, it was just easier for them to go with the Schwartz part of that storyline for the cameras, because obviously there would be more impact with Ariana. So it's all just so crazy. It's also crazy. Ariana and Katie had a sit down in this week's episode that, where, ultimately it was almost wild watching it, because Katie's talking about what the impact of having this person in the close friend circle try to date her man or her ex-man. And Ariana is like supporting her and saying all of these things. And it's like wild because what actually is happening is that all of this now is happening to Ariana. And it's so much. It's so much. So I've also seen that all of this is like coming out and that it was a big plot that Tom Sandoval and Ariana were planning to break up anyways. And that this is all just like being done for ratings to try to like really boost the show. I don't buy that. I think like this is too real. And I also want to remember that like Ariana is truly a victim in all of this. She, was with this person for a long time. She put up with a lot of bullshit in order to like stay with this person. And I feel for her. And so we will see what happens. I do think that I think she's better off. I think that, Ariana is in a place right now where she is, I never thought that Tom Sandoval was a good fit for her. I always thought that he was too obsessed with himself. And Ariana was just a cool girl. Like she's a cool LA chick. And for whatever reason, fell in love with Sandoval. But like, I never thought that he loved her the way that she loved him. And he always seemed like he was just more obsessed with himself and his own image than he was caring about his relationship with her. And so I think she's better off, obviously. And it's unfortunate the way that all of this has unfolded. So that's what's going on. I'm gonna move on from that because, like I said, so many things are coming out. My notes over the weekend just were getting longer and longer. And then I was like, I don't know what's real and what's not in this story, but we'll continue to be covering it, of course. And I'll continue to bring you updates on Vanderpump Rules and how it's playing out because we do see next week the ladies head to Vegas. And that is where Raquel hooks up with Oliver. And we already know through the news that Oliver was married and that's all about to play out. So Raquel isn't winning any fans over right now. And we're going to see this all play out. She has become the number one kind of reality TV villain. And I said that last week, which is so weird on this episode, on this show. I said that I felt like she was really entering her villain era and no one really saw that coming. And then boy, did she double down. And so a lot going on. Like I said, I'm exhausted from the weekend. I feel like fatigued of reading through all of the Vanderpump Rules stuff. I need like a screen break, but that's what's going on there. So that this episode doesn't get too long, I'm just going to kind of like fly through some of the other tidbits of the week. Summer House, another episode. I was glad that Kyle at least acknowledged that there's a lot of females on the cast, female energy in the house. The girls all did a tea party, which was, I thought, kind of lame. And so like Kyle and Chris had to like go to a brewery and because they're the only two guys among these like 8 women. And so that is really feeling like not balanced. But I think the two kind of like big notables is Gabby talked about the breakup with the guy that she found out was cheating on her and found out that it was with Danielle from the cast. That she got into all of his social medias and posted this like crazy message about how like he had mistreated her as if he had written it. But she put it on his LinkedIn as well. And I'm just like, that is so savage and like nearly a little crazy, but I kind of live for it. And then the other big thing was we saw Sam, the new blonde girl on the cast. We saw that she had this boxing coach instructor guy come over that she was interested in. And then this week it was announced that guy, I can't remember his name, Josh, I think, he is now Madonna's boyfriend. So, wow, he took like a step up in terms of the fame scale. He went from the brand new girl on Summer House, appearing on Summer House this week, and then moved on to dating Madonna. So that's kind of those were kind of the highlights from Summer House this week. Let's see, getting into the Housewives, New Jersey. Couple of things on Jersey this week that I thought was interesting. It was the first time we saw their intro with the taglines. I had seen them online, so I already knew everyone's tagline and had seen the intro. But when it came on, I was like, wait, what's going on? And I was like, oh, this is the first time that we didn't end the episode with it to be continued. So we are finally getting the tagline. So this feels late in the season for that to be premiered. And then last week I talked about how I was disappointed that it felt like the guys' night fight like ended, and then we never got to see kind of like what happened and the fun part of that. And so we did end up seeing all the guys come home drunk, and the women were like filming them as they were like stumbling around the house. And, I thought that was pretty funny. Joe and Teresa, it continues to just get like, dark. These two, I think it was Dolores on Watch What Happens Live was like, I think it's for the best that these two end their relationship, which is tough to say about a brother and sister, but it's like becoming more and more clear. Teresa, like, it does seem as though Teresa wants to move on and she wants to make peace. And, she made that phone call, even though Louis had to like, write down her lines of the things she should say, like, you want to make peace. And so she was like reading his notes to Joe, but I think she was nervous. I think she didn't know really how to approach the situation. And so he was like kind of helping coach through that. But, he says he wants to make peace and he wants to move on, but then he wouldn't come to the housewarming party. And Teresa made this point of like, he's now missed my 50th birthday. Like, we're missing like major milestones in our lives, and we're each other's family, and we're just like, we're not going to be there. So if you're going to make another choice to not come to my housewarming party, this is like on him. And, for him to say that he's not going to come means that he's not moved on from it. And I wish, you guys, I see everyone come for me online about the Melissa stuff, because there's a lot of you that are still very clearly team Melissa in all of this. And I wish I could say that like her showing up at the housewarming party was good intentioned and that she wanted to be there and that those tears in the bathroom were real. I just don't buy it. I think that she was there because they were filming, and it's a Housewives episode, and she was like, I got to go film this scene. I'm not going because I support Teresa. I'm not going because I missed the girls. If those things were true, their actions would be playing out off screen as well as on. And that's what I think, that's where I'm just like, I don't see it. I don't see them have a genuine interest in fixing this relationship. And then Rachel and Jennifer Fessler had lunch. I have to say, I just am loving Jennifer Fessler with her doesn't share pizza, when she's like, oh, can we share that margarita pizza? And Jennifer Fessler's like, oh yeah, I don't do that. I mean, last week we see her with the mozzarella, or 2 weeks ago, I guess. And so this woman loves her food, and I am here for that for sure. The one thing about Jennifer Fessler that I find a little odd is that Margaret brought her on, and she was a friend of Margaret. But we have not seen a lot of scenes, if any, with her and Margaret together. And I'm wondering like how authentic and real that friendship was, because she's interacting with all the other women, but she's not really getting a lot from the Marge. So I am interested in how that really, so why that seemingly fell apart. It's kind of like when Rinna brought Sutton on, and then they filmed like one scene together to kind of introduce Sutton, and then we never really saw them together again. And then of course they had a huge fallout. So that was interesting. And then Jackie, is now, I think she's like, okay, I've got to step up. I'm a friend of, I've got to like maybe get my full-time status back. I need to like really bring something to the storyline. So I feel like she's just trying to fight with the women, and, Danielle just handled her like perfection. And, she's like, oh, don't put your hands in my face. And Danielle's like, look, I'm from Jersey, and like we talk with our hands, and like I'm not. And she was like doing this thing, and she's like, oh, is that a threat? It's like, no, Jackie, that's not a threat. Just like calm down and like stop trying to bring drama, because quite frankly, I don't need Jackie at these parties, and I'm kind of over Jackie. And and then the other note is just Rachel and Danielle are like these two feisty women. I mean, man, they just like don't mess with them. They have fiery tempers, and that came out at the housewarming party. And, now I understand why these women are on the cast, and I'm loving it. So another good episode for Jersey. And guys, I just am like, it's weird for me to be even talking about Housewives right now because all I can think about is the Sandoval, Raquel, Ariana stuff. But okay. Moving right along, keeping it going. Real Housewives of Miami. We got the season finale. Alexia is unwilling to forgive Adriana. I saw that coming, but I did feel as though Adriana explained herself, explained her position, acknowledged that what she said was completely inappropriate and wrong. And, ultimately what she was saying when she said, like, I should have said to you, Alexia, I need you. I'm going through a hard time. I feel like in that moment, Alexia should have let her guard down a bit, and she just really wouldn't. And that's just, I don't know where I'm going with them. So I am a little worried that we're just heading into a toxic place with these two women and then, this divide. And when casts start to divide too much and are unwilling to film together and unwilling to be together, as we saw the last couple of episodes of Miami, it becomes too toxic, and it doesn't make for a good cast. And so I'm interested to see what will happen as a result of this. But ultimately, I felt like this was a lot of resolution outside of them. I felt like we got to a lot of resolution in this episode. I felt like it felt like a finale episode. We saw things moving in the right direction for Julia and Martina. We saw Nicole and her father kind of make amends, and her father, saying that he's not drinking anymore, and, they're moving in the right direction. They had this like great finale party that Gertie hosted, and they all looked amazing, and, all their bright colors, like that's very Miami. And even Larsa, like I know she was kind of like doing it tongue in cheek, like I'm going to give that a lot of validation to Adriana because that's clearly what she needs, and saying like, you're great and you're amazing and you're beautiful and all these things. And Adriana's like, what are you drinking? But I actually kind of feel like that is what Adriana needed. And Larsa was like recognizing that a bit, even though she was kind of being a little shady in the meantime. I felt like that was authentic. And so I liked seeing that resolution. And then, at the party, I did have a note here where Julia's talking about the quail eggs and that she eats quail eggs. And Kiki thought she was saying that she eats legs of her animals. And Julia's like, no, I don't eat my pets. I just love Kiki, which, by the way, guys, so everyone at the end of the episode, we get the typical Housewives finale cards that give like an update on what everyone's done since filming. And it started with the friends of. So we get one for Adriana, we get one for Marisol, and then it moves on to the other ladies. And they, again, kind of have like some wrap up scenes. And we get what each of the full-time Housewives finale cards. Where was Kiki's? Kiki's a friend of too. Why are we not getting a finale card for her? I'm starting to think like something's up with Kiki because there is storyline there, and she never goes like that far into it. And I'm wondering like if that's like part of her decision. Like I don't want too much of my personal life out there, but I thought that was very strange. I mean, if you're going to give the finale cards, you got to have Kiki. I mean, she's literally at the party while they're doing it, and she's the only one that didn't get a finale card. I thought that was really weird. And so that was Miami. We'll see what happens with the reunion. It does look a bit, like I said, toxic. It looks like we're heading in a very strange place. And then, of course, speaking of reunions, that moves us on to the finale of Real Housewives of Potomac. We got its third and final part. Kicks off with Pandora's Box. Mia and Jacqueline, where they left off of trying to, prove each other's points on why their friendship fell out. And, it was a kind of a lead up at the end of the last episode that they like both pulled out like all these receipts, and Mia pulled out her bedazzled box, and but then we actually didn't really go there. Like it was like they showed like one text thread that was like, oh, I talked to your mother on Mother's Day over FaceTime, and you said you like spent the day with her. And and Andy's like, well, okay, but you did talk to her for over an hour on FaceTime. Like that seems like you spent some time with her that day. And then they basically both just put their stuff away. Like it was like, there wasn't, and no one was really like wanting to get into their stuff because it just felt like they both had a bunch of printed paper and it wasn't going to go anywhere. So I'm glad we didn't spend a lot of time on that, but it felt a little bit like a lead up to nothing. And then, of course, Charisse comes out and talks about all the Karen rumors. Thought Karen, in her masterful way, just sort of like skated by all of it and said like, if that's a rumor, give me that person's number and I will make sure that they get sued. And, she just kind of did her thing where she just like semi-owned certain things, but then also just sort of like moved it along. And even all the women were like, she's moving this along because she doesn't want us to say what we really know. Again, like, we kind of just need to know. So Karen and Giselle, although Giselle's the one that always is like getting accused of not talking about stuff and not sharing her personal life, or Karen rather, is in the same boat. Karen doesn't share her stuff either. So, so I don't know. We need to like bring more of this out, or we need to let some of these rumors go and move on from the rumors, because that part of it was starting to get a bit too much. Chris and Giselle had their moment. Chris was very heated and probably rightfully so. He felt like he was being accused of something that he didn't necessarily do, and that he had to answer for a lot of things that Giselle's words said. But I felt like they were ultimately arguing about semantics. And Giselle's point is, I felt uncomfortable, and that's what I was sharing. They were saying, you said I was uncomfortable about what I did to you, and that implies something, which is also true. But like neither one of them was really willing to like just move on from that point. And they did sort of both apologize for what their part in each. But then, of course, Candace is ride or die for her man and was like, well, I don't accept any of this. And she like just kept going in for Giselle. Honestly, guys, I can't believe that these two women are going to Thailand together after all of this. And I'm trying to remember the timeline, because I'm guessing that they filmed Thailand before the reunion. So that in itself is like, tells us all we kind of need to know about Thailand. Like, they don't make peace at Thailand, and they're still in a very toxic place. So that's unfortunate, but yeah, these two are headed to Thailand. That's where we're going to see their next sort of interactions and probably altercations. And then we got or I guess they called it the unseen footage from Robin's one-on-one sit down with Andy on Watch What Happens Live. And quite frankly, I don't know why we needed that segment. We didn't get anything new. Robin was like, yeah, I don't think Juan did anything wrong. Well, she didn't say that. She said, I don't think Juan, had a physical relationship with this woman, and, it is what it is. And she said that in several different ways and answered all of Andy's questions, but never really gave anything new. So I really don't know why we needed that interview. I feel like the only reason the producers put that in is because a lot of people that watch Potomac probably don't see Watch What Happens Live. And so they wanted to like at least give the viewers a bit of closure in that interview. But in terms of quote unquote unseen footage, there wasn't anything new that was revealed, and nothing that we really needed to see. But so that's the gist of it this week, guys. Like I said, I'm just exhausted and fatigued from the Vanderpump of it all. But I will be, continuing to follow that story. I will, we'll be back on Thursday for another episode, and then we'll continue to just kind of break down what's going on and as all of this stuff starts to play out. But wild stuff happening over at Bravo. So Bravo, fucking Bravo. It is ruling my life in a way that I need to take a little break. So we're going to end the episode. I'm going to take a little mental break from Vanderpump Rules today. And then yeah, we will be back. So continue to follow, rate, and subscribe to The Gist so that you never miss an episode. Don't forget to follow me. I'm at CM Vetrano on all the social platforms, and Listen It's Vetrano on Facebook. So, follow me. Let's continue the conversation. As you guys get tea, share it, because I'm trying to make heads and tails of all of it. So continue to do that. And thank you so much for tuning in. And I hope that you all have a great week. Thanks so much. Bye.